I refurbished an old cast iron bench. Yep, I found an old cast iron bench from the 1900s outside in the trash near my house. After staring at it for quite a while, I decided to take it home and refurbish the hell out of it. How hard can it be, right? Get it home, take it apart, grind down all the rust, get some new wood, cut it down to size, paint it, reassemble everything. Well, it was not as easy as I thought, but it was well worth the task. I turned it from this into this. Let me show you how. I'm slightly concerned about taking this apart because the screws are super rusty. I've actually tried a bit before and I wasn't able to make them budge. But let's give it another try. Because that's just gonna have to do. For the bench colour, I actually went with the same original colour that it had. And I did this because we preferred this colour, basically. There's no other explanation. I mean, it doesn't make sense to do a restoration project and just go back to the same colour. But it really is the optimal colour for a home bench. And it's a bit easier to colour over the same paint. This 2X Ultra Cover paint has a primer as well. So as you could see when I was grinding this down, there's a lot of rust. When you have a piece of metal that's rusty, you should prime it. Prime it is basically colouring it with some base paint, usually white, and then bringing on the real colour that you want. In this case, they give spray that's both a paint and a primer. Now, if you ask a professional, they will say, no, prime it with a base colour like white, and then go to your actual paint. Don't do it in just one go. But I'm an amateur and this is a DIY project, so we're doing it in one go. Ipe wood, very dense wood. Just to give you some context, the same piece, actually the Ipe is just a little bit shorter by about half a centimetre. This is some form of pine. Just to see how dense it is, if I will weigh the two pieces, the pine is 141 gram and the Ipe is 202. So the Ipe, more or less the same dimensions, is 60 gram heavier than the pine. That's about 50% excess in density. Love the wood, but it's a brutal piece of wood, okay? The splinters could send you to hospital. I'm exaggerating, but the splinters are pretty bad. So that's the wood. Now, I want to fasten the wood to the bench using what you would call carriage screws. These screws don't have a flathead or a Phillips entry to the head, so it's got like a very fine, soft dome to the screw head, They're called carriage screws apparently because they were initially used on carriage wheels, hence the name. What's very handy about carriage screws, apart from how they look, which is they're meant to look very sleek and clean, is that when fastening the nuts, you don't need to hold the screw on the other side. So the way this is accomplished is with a small square here at the top that is forced into the wood and held in place. Since the epay wood is so dense that it will be very difficult to insert the carriage screw, and that's what I want to check before making all the holes and going forward with the idea of using carriage screws. So we're going to insert the screw. You can see that the square neck is preventing the screw from entering, and hopefully if I hammer it down, that went in. Oh, okay. Can chisel the square out of it. Okay. Okay, now I need to create a 15mm fillet on two of the pieces of epay wood, and that's for the edges of the bench. Now again, we're back to the problem of my cheap router that just does not know how to deal with the wider drill bits. But this jig I designed a while back that's meant to just like space out the distance between the router surface and what actually is going to be cut. Looks like this little piece here is got a bit of rot, but I'm hoping it will give an overall authentic look to the bench, so I'm going to keep it. If it gets worse or doesn't look good, I can always fill it up with wood filler, sand it down and repaint it, but I'm going to leave it as it is. The wood looks great. I bought a paint sprayer. Now paint sprayers are not really recommended. I have a brother that's also a professional painter, and he said to me, if you're going to get a paint sprayer, don't buy anything cheap. You need to buy something very expensive. So the price range here ranges before super cheap, like $100, up to $1,200, which is like the basic good one. I went and bought a $100 one. Now, I did ask my brother, but he's professional. I am an amateur, and I need to spray a few pieces of wood here and there. So for $100, it was worth the risk of trying to see if it works for me. I don't know. Anyway, let's give it a try and we'll see. Shake. Let's pour it back in. That was fucking amazing. Well, that was a success. Sprayed the carriage screw heads. Now, when I knock the carriage screws in, I expect the colour to get like nicked, and probably it won't look so beautiful as it does now. But we'll fix that after the carriage screws are in. Next on the list is to clean up the logo. That is a piece of copper with the company name and some more writing here at the bottom that I took off the bench while dismantling it. So the paint you can kind of like peel off, and the bottom will need to be cleaned. And ChatGPT proposed to just clean it with some hot soapy water and a used bristled toothbrush. Let's give it a try. Yeah, so this isn't really working out. I want to get rid of the very fine marks that we have here. So the next thing that ChatGPT recommended was to make some acidic mixture and put it on for 15 minutes. The mixture includes vinegar, salt and flour with the same amounts. Let's see. Okay, let's see what happens. It's 15 minutes. Let's see what it looks like after all this time. Good. It's looking good enough. It's not fitting. The only assumption I can make of why it's not fitting is because the length of each one of the epay pieces or epay planks is not identical. And then the holes were made at an identical distance from the sides of the plank, but then the distance between the two holes is different each time. So what I'm going to have to do is take out the carriage screws on one side of the plank, screw in the other side, and then make a mark of where the hole should be, and then make new holes. And hopefully the new holes will be, the old holes will be covered when the carriage screw is inserted. I'm pretty doubtful about that, but that's what we're going to have to do. Step is to fasten the back in place using screws, not carriage screws, regular screws. And the problem that I'm encountering is making it as symmetrical as possible. I just don't trust myself to make it perfect. Stage of every project, the problems at some stop and everything starts to work out. To fill in the holes that I accidentally made for the carriage screws, I bought wood filler and it's got the same colour as epay wood. I'm not sure if you noticed, but in the background while building the bench, I've been fostering a side project, a matching coffee table. Sitting on a bench is so much more relaxing than sitting on a couch or a chair. I don't know, maybe I'm influenced from some old film like Notting Hill or Forrest Gump, but give me a cup of coffee and a good book on that bench and I'm in the clouds, as you say in Hebrew. It's just giving some personality to the garden, a place where I can run away from everyone, even if it's just for a few minutes. And no, I'm not really looking to run away from wife and kids. Well, sometimes I am, but even if I am, it's just for a very short period of time. See you on the next one.